Hi, it's time for a Chime video. Today we have a NuTone model LA52 TK, TK stands for teak, that was sent in by a customer named Medina. She lives in Louisiana. This particular LA52 was manufactured in 1981. That makes it 44 years old. And this is, as far as I can tell, the very first time it's ever been worked on. 44 years equals out to be about 385,440 hours of time on the circuit board. The thing about door chimes like this is when they're installed and the power is turned on, they start accumulating time, and it's never really a matter of how often it's been used, how many people have pushed the button to ring it. It really is a matter of it sits there up on the wall for 44 years waiting for someone to ring it, and they accumulate a tremendous amount of time on them. The reported problem was that it didn't work anymore. The more technical description of it, because it was bench tested before I began the repair, was it would not trigger. The LA52, like most musical NuTone door chimes, the heart of the chime is a microprocessor, and the microprocessor contains a program that runs over and over and over again continuously. It also contains the songs that you can set for the chime to play. Musical chimes that have microprocessors have what's called a triggering circuit. When someone comes up and pushes the button, you're not turning a circuit on, applying power to the chime, because the chime has power all the time. What you're doing is you're triggering the microprocessor to activate the program that makes it play the song. So it's a triggering circuit. And what this particular one would do is get it all hooked up, you push the button, and it would sort of go, and it wouldn't actually trigger. And it was primarily because there were a lot of components on the board that had aged out and they weren't working properly anymore, and that messes up the triggering circuit, so the board needs to be rebuilt. After the board was rebuilt and I set it back up, this is a little test jig setup that we have. This is a base for an LA52 that I own, and then I have some buttons and wires connected to it, so I can just plug it in and hook it up to power, and I'm ready to go. One of the things I noticed was it would only play one or two songs out of the 24 songs that are programmed into it. That was sort of the idea behind an LA52, is in the microprocessor there are 24 individual tunes that you can adjust by moving these two slide switches to make different combinations of numbers and letters. This is the numeric switch, and this is the letter switch. By setting them to different positions, you can choose which song you want it to play. For the most part, no matter what position I put the switches in, it would play the same song. The way this is designed is, as you move the switches, you're making different connections that essentially go directly back to the microprocessor to tell it which song it's supposed to play. It was unlikely, in my opinion, at that moment, that it would be a microprocessor problem, because I would say in the approximately 40 years that I've been fixing NuTone products and lots and lots and lots of LA52s, I have never had an occasion to replace a microprocessor in an LA52, so that wasn't likely. What was more likely was that it was a problem with the switches. And one of the sort of key things on that was, while it's a little hard to see and it's a little hard for you to know, the metal surfaces of the switch body, these parts with the slots in them, these are all kind of, they're not corroded, they're kind of oxidized. They have they've degraded somewhat, and that tells me that this may be in a environment where it's more humid or something like that, more of a moisture issue sometimes. And basically what I think happened was the switches got really dirty inside, and they were kind of stuck. Even though you would move the switches, there were connections inside. Maybe there was some oxidation built up or something like that, and the connection wasn't correct. So it was really a simple matter of cleaning the switches. What do we clean the switches with? We clean it with Deoxit D5, because that's our go-to cleaner for all things electronics, volume controls, slide switches, whatever it is. Squirt a little bit inside, work the switches back and forth a bunch of times, and it all came good, which is very good. There are these three little controls here, which are little knobs that poke through the case, which you'll see at the end when I put it all back together. Green one, white one, red one. These are different adjustments for volume, tempo, and tone. So you can adjust how loud it is. You can adjust the tempo, the speed of the song it's playing, and the tone of the song, treble to bass kind of thing, and tailor each song to make it ring and sound the way that you expect it to when it rings. So these were cleaned a little bit with a little deoxit and twist them back and forth. Also, because if the slide switches are a little funky, then these probably should be cleaned along with them, so it's all good when it goes back. Since we had a problem with the song selection switches, it would seem to me that the reasonable thing to do before we send it all the way back to Louisiana is we need to test it out and make sure that it works correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it up, and I have two buttons connected to it. I have the push button for the front door, which plays the song, and I also have a button connected up for the rear door, which just rings two notes because it's the rear door. Test it to make sure that every single song plays correctly. Now, I'm not going to adjust the volume, the tempo, and the tone, as this is an operational checkout. This is not for musically what it sounds like. Now, one of the things that you should know, and this came up actually in a phone conversation with another customer just this week. I had repaired his LA52 also, and he got it back and he put it back in and said that when he would push the button on the front porch, when you push and hold the button down, it would play, but as soon as you let go, the song would turn off. And that's because on LA52s, it's a requirement that you have a diode across the contacts on the back of the button, and the diode allows it to play through the entire song once the person has taken their finger off the button. Diodes have direction, so you can think about it as it has a plus and a minus. That's not really what it is, but you can think about it that way. So in his case, his diode was in backwards. What I told him he needed to do is loosen the screws, take the diode off, pick it up, turn it around, put it back on, and then it will be fine. And he did, and it was. The other thing to know is that on an LA52, you must have the front door button wired with the diode to allow the rear door button to work. You cannot install just the rear door button without any front door button at all, because it doesn't work that way. The sort of genius thing about LA52s, and you have to consider that LA52s originally came out in 1975. So that was a long time ago. That was, oh wait, how long ago was that? That was 50 years ago. LA52s were designed to be able to be wired to replace a standard two-note mechanical doorbell, the kinds that go ding-dong, in any house regardless of how it was wired. So it was a very good idea. It was a very, very popular chime. I have sold and installed many, many hundreds of them. And the nice thing about it is, in some installations, the requirement is, or perhaps the better way to state it is, the complaint would be, I can't hear my doorbell. And in particular, there was this particular retirement community that we would do service calls in, and there were probably 800 or 900 units, single family homes, townhouses, apartments, whatever they were, and there were a lot of senior citizens that lived there. The complaint sometimes would be, I can't hear my doorbell. So we would go out and install an LA52 because it's electronic, it has a speaker, it has a volume adjustment so you can make it loud. And also, since it has the different songs, you can set it to a song that the customer likes, but also the song is a lot longer than just Ding Dong. Ding Dong's really quick and short, but a longer song, even if it's only 8 or 10 seconds, is a lot better opportunity. So sort of the way we would look at it is, it's loud and it's long and you'll be able to hear it, and that worked really well. So enough yammering on. I'm going to go ahead, power this up, and I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to describe each song as I go. Anyway, so let's get it powered up and let's play some songs. And that's it. Oh, we have the rear door. Let's ring the rear door. And there you go. So Medina's LA52 now works properly. So let me take a minute and I'll put it back in the case and show you that up for a second, and then we'll be all done. All right, so here's the LA52. It's been reassembled. I just mounted the circuit board back in the back of the case. There's a 3.5-inch speaker cone here, and the 3 wires that plug into the terminal strip on the base that's mounted to the wall. On the front of the Chime, there's a door that swings open on the right-hand side like this. Inside the door are the 2 sliding musical selector levers. You have 1 through 5 and A through E. There's a tune test button, so when you set a song, you can push the tune test button to hear what it sounds like, and then adjust your volume, tempo, and tone to make it sound the way you like. And there's stickers on the inside of the door that tell you how to select a tune and then what the codes are for all the different tunes that are built into it. It was a very, very popular Chime. They made it from 1975 through about 2008 or 9, and then it was finally discontinued either due to lack of sales or lack of interest. I don't know why exactly. Lots of things were discontinued around that time, but it was sort of a go-to Chime for lots of different types of situations. I hope you found this interesting, and perhaps for someone it will be helpful. If it is, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, because that helps us just a little bit. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell, and when you click on the bell, click on it to receive all notifications, and every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.